All right. To give some history about the Second World War, I was born in 1938. When the war broke out in 1939, I was 2.5 weeks old. So the only thing I remember when I got older, because the war lasted till 1945, I had a tough time. My family had a tough time. Not too much. We didn't suffer too much from the war itself, uh, but we suffered more from to get enough food and try to survive during the Second World War. I remember when the Allied forces bombed all the cities in Germany, and I was born in Frankfurt, and I lived in Frankfurt, Maine, and we were lucky that nearby was the largest airport in Europe. That was the Rhine-Main airport, and nearby was the big pharmaceutical company, IG Farben, known as Herx too, which produced penicillin and the Bayer aspirin. So the Allied forces knew exactly what to bomb and what not to bomb. It was a terrible war. Not only got 6 million Jews were killed during that time, but also 20 million other nationalities, including a lot of German nationals, Hungarians, and all other Europeans, and 20 million Russians. After the war, the cities were completely destroyed. Europe was in shambles. No food, no railroads, no highways. And during that period of time till 1945, when the bombs were falling on the cities, most of the time we lived in the basement. And I remember, even as a young boy, I heard the bombs falling, and we looked out on the doors and we saw all around us the bombs, and the houses were on fire. We just called ourselves lucky. In the highlight of the war, my father moved us out of the city and we moved into the country. We were more safe in the country, but I remember in the end of the war, when the Allied forces marched through Germany, the little village we used to live in, the armed forces moved in, and each house, I recall that very clearly, each house had to move out the white flag as a sign of surrender. And a house which didn't have the white flag out was completely destroyed in one shot. The Allied forces were shooting right into and bombed it in. But the worst part came after the war. There was no food, no nothing at all, as I mentioned before. And good thing that the United States created the Marshall Plan, and the USA, before they was trying to destroy Germany. Now they were trying to rebuild Germany. What they do with any kind of a war they start. They destroyed the country, and then later they start to rebuild the country. It happened the same thing in South Korea, in Vietnam, and in Iraq. So we see it all over. It's part of American history. After the Marshall Plan was created, Germany rebuilt, and it became a new democratic republic was created. And now we know that Germany was called on to be an ally of the United States, because it turned out to be that the allied, which was Russia, wasn't quite as well, because there was communism, and here we had a so-called free democratic republic in the rest of the country.